Good evening, Gills fans. Welcome back to another episode of Gills in the Blood TV. They are coming thick and fast at the moment. That is because this past Tuesday there was a full round of midweek fixtures in Sky Bet League 2. And this Saturday we take on Crewe, which, somewhat surprisingly, certainly from a Gillingham point of view, will be the battle of the two midweek 4-1 winners. And I'm pleased to say, to talk to me ahead of that fixture against the Railwaymen is Crewe Alexandra fan Tom Boon. You can find him on X at Boon CAFC. Nice and easy to find him. So give him a follow, please. His details are there in the description. Tom, first of all, welcome to the channel and thank you for your time.
Yeah, no worries. Pleasure to be joining you, mate.
Thank you very much. Let's talk about the midweek games. I think both were probably slightly surprising. Both teams had a good start to you'd had a good start to the season. You was 100% going into Tuesday night's game. We'd been solid, if not spectacular, with two draws and a home win. But yeah, both thumped our respective opponents. You went to Fleetwood and turned them over, and we were absolutely superb against Chesterfield by the same scoreline. So just how pleasing was just that performance in isolation on Tuesday night for you boys?
Yeah, I mean, out of the four games so far, that's probably the most promising because I personally have Fleetwood in my top three, and they're a team that under Pete Wild I think will do really well this year.
Hmm.
So I was going into it and I was thinking, be a tough game, be a real struggle away from home. Predicted a defeat, betted on a defeat, and then obviously not the case. But no, it was so pleasing, so energetic, and sort of so refreshing to have our first two away games and just score a lot of goals, have a good time, and get 6 points out of them as well.
Yeah, because you've scored seven, haven't you, in the two away fixtures? Because you went to Salford
Yeah.
again, and that was probably a slightly surprising result based on our last season went. I think it's fair to say that Salford were better than you. But let's look at your results so far this campaign. There is four to look at now, so we can start getting a bit of an idea of form. It's 12 points from 12. That's that win against Salford away from home 3-1. Beat Accrington 2-0 on your own patch the week after that. Then a gritty 1-0 win against Crawley, and then, of course, Tuesday night's thumping of Fleetwood by the tune of 4-1. So it sees you on 12 points and proudly top of the league at this very early stage. Just run through Gills quickly. Accrington 1-0, Walsall 1-0, Tranmere 1-0, and then Chesterfield 4-1. 8 points for the Gills, sixth place in the table at the moment. If only the season could stop now, hey, mate?
Yeah, if we could end the season now, just end it, end it.
To be fair, if the season ended end of August or end of September, I think we'd have been champions 3 years in a row.
Yeah. You always start so fast and then just fade off in sort of each year the last few years. So hopefully not the same for you this year.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Obviously, apart from Saturday, I'm sure you're going to add to the end of
Yeah,
that sentence.
I was tempted. I was tempted.
No, it's fine. We all want our own teams to win, don't we? Um, I want to talk about the bigger picture, and I think certainly from my point of view as an outsider, and I want to ask you as a Crewe Alexandra fan, it's felt as an opposition supporter that since the playoff defeat in May 2024, where it's I think you sort of limped into the playoffs, um, you've not kicked on. I'd say at best as much as you'd have liked. Has there been a case to say that you'd maybe certainly to outsiders look like you'd regressed a little bit because last season was wholly disappointing. I think it's fair to say based on where you were that time the season before.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we had a big bottle as Walsall last season, but sort of didn't take any of the headlines because of obviously how sort of staggering theirs was. I mean, we
Yeah,
were second when they were top, and actually going into around January, February time, I thought it was our year. I'll be honest. I thought the same the year before, and after the four games this season, I'm going to make sure I don't get carried away until about April time this time round. But no, you're right. We definitely regressed at the back end of last season. I saw why quite a lot of outsiders had us quite low this season in predictions, and
hmm
I sort of internally disagreed with it, but I could see the argument. I thought we'd be up there again this year. I put us 10th to be a bit cautious, but internally I thought playoffs would be ideal, probably where I'm placing us after the first few as well. But yeah, no, it was sort of important to hit the ground running this season, both for Lee Bell and for the
hmm
fans and sort of the team. Because, like you said, that Wembley defeat was heartbreaking, but we did limp there with a lot of injuries and a lot of sort of, it sort of held a bit of a narrative, a bit of a story behind it. So you didn't mind the defeat on the day. It sort of wasn't as disappointing as it could have been. And then last season, again, the same story of fading off in the second half of the season. So it was important to get the fans back on side, and so far so good. He's done that.
Yeah, you can't argue with that start. And just back on that playoff final, obviously, then after that, on the back of it, you lost a couple of players that had done well for you that season. I know you're probably a big fan of Elliot Nevitt. And I think Rio Adebisi went to Peterborough as well. Two players that, regardless of how they've done since, played a huge part in that successful season that got you to Wembley. So there was people that needed replacing. So just based on all that, um, I think you've sort of asked my question because I said, what were the ambitions before the season started? And you said internally you still thought you was confident of at least a playoff push. Um, how surprised have you been by the start, if at all? Like, you might not have been surprised, but to go to Salford, to go to Fleetwood and score 7 in them 2 games, back-to-back clean sheets at home, you must be over the moon, and it's probably exceeded expectations just a little bit. Would I be correct in saying?
Yeah, definitely. I'd go more than just a little bit, to be fair, because I could see this season going anyway. Before the ball was kicked, I could see the argument for 20th. I could see the argument for us to finish fourth or fifth, for instance. And to say that I was expecting 12 points out of 12 would be a lie. I was probably internally looking at the 2 home games and thinking, got to be 4 or 6 points on paper, and then looking at the 3 away days in our first five, so yourself included,
Hmm.
as sort of not free hits, but ones where they could be teams that could be up there. Salford, yourselves, and Fleetwood, obviously. So I thought get 6 points at home to sort of stray off any negativity coming from the fans, sort of get them back on side a little bit, and maybe pick up a point on the road. But the style of play, the intensity, the way we're scoring goals, the way we're still rock solid at the back is sort of it's blown a lot of our minds at Crewe. I think even the most optimistic people wouldn't have said 12 points in 4 games, to be honest with you.
No, I'm probably sort of thinking along similar lines. Like you say, they always say if you win most of your home games and draw plenty away, then you're going to be all right. So to have started as you have is absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, like I say, I hope it comes to a shuddering halt at the weekend. I'm not going to lie, but after that, good luck to you. 3 players I think have caught my eye, certainly in terms of how they started the season and also during the window when they came in, because obviously I had to look a lot of teams' incomings and outgoings to get to where I did with my predictions. One concern was over firepower, and I follow a club, so I like to think I'm quite up to speed with teams that struggle to score goals. Um,
Yeah.
Tommy O'Reilly was one that come in from Aston Villa. I think he'd had a loan spell at Shrewsbury last season, wasn't quite as good as people had hoped, but I think it was fair that the narrative in the summer was he'd be more suited in a Crewe side that plays more possession-based football than Salop did under Gareth Ainsworth, and I know full well what Gareth Ainsworth teams look like now. It's not right or wrong. It's just different to I think how Tommy O'Reilly would potentially thrive. He's already scored a goal. Probably could have had 3 more. I think he's hit the frame of the goal 3 times already this season. Josh March was one who I thought, will he score enough goals? Opened his account last night against Fleetwood. He's got 4 assists already as well, which is a staggering start. So fair play to him. And then the left field one I think was Reece Hutchinson, who's come over from the League of Ireland. 2 goals already, 2 clean sheets. Is it fair to say though, Tom, that they've been even better than what the stats suggest? And I don't get to watch full games of Crewe Alexandra. I don't have the time. So I can only pick out on little highlights. And I've been impressed with the clips I've seen. And obviously, you look at the numbers, they're really good between them. But you can look at a proper eye test over 4 games of how impressive have they been?
Yeah, I mean, our recruitment department is sort of impeccable for the budget
Hmm.
that we have, the way that we can sort of find these gems, these sort of uncovered players that, other clubs won't take a gamble on. I said before the Fleetwood game, Josh March could get away with not scoring a goal this season, and he could still win our player of the season if he had been playing how he had been, because
Hmm.
it it's what we've been crying out for since Elliot never joined Gillingham. It's that off the ball running, it's the runs in behind, it's the relentless pressing that suited our system so well under Lee Bell, and it is exactly what Josh March is doing. I mean, he opened his account with a wonderful, wonderful goal on Tuesday against Fleetwood as well. So, yeah, he's a player that sort of there was a few question marks raised by our own fans, by other pundits, and sort of even Harrogate fans, admittedly, were sort of not that bothered about him going, it seemed. And he's just hit the ground running. He's exactly what we've needed. Tommy O'Reilly, creative player. I think he was at Shrewsbury, you're right, but I think he spent the second half at MK Dons last season.
Oh,
But
okay.
again, struggled to get some minutes and sort of it's hard to fit into an MK Dons squad when you're coming in January. They've got so many players. They've got so many players of caliber as well,
Mhm.
and the budget sort of. If you're not cutting it, there's going to be someone on probably more money than you, even though you're a Premier League loanee, ready
Mhm.
to take your place. So he's going to start most weeks for us if he's available, and he's a creative genius. I'm hoping he doesn't score many goals until after January. If he could keep it in the bar, and then right as the option to recall him goes, then they can go straight in the top corner. I'd be happy with that. But yeah, he's sort of an extra bit of flair that we don't usually get in a League Two side. You sort of get a few players of his sort of on the ball quality in the level. So yeah, he's someone that think we've already fallen in love with another loan player, to be honest.
Broken the rule
Um,
again.
and yeah, it's every season. You just break the rule and fall in love with a new one, don't you? But yeah, and Reece Hutchinson, I mean, not a player I was overly familiar with. I sort of knew the name from his youth days at Burton and sort of a bit of an EFL spell, but until we signed him, I hadn't really been following what he'd been doing over in the League of Ireland because it's
Mhm.
not a league that I follow, not a league that I know of many talents. But what a steal he seems to be for us. I mean, we did pay a fee for him, which is rare for Crewe Alexandra Football Club as well.
Mhm.
But he's just an attacking minded fullback that can just get forward, drive at his man, not scared to take a shot, as he's proven with the two goals. But he's also quite good at the back as well, quite a solid, sort of nitty gritty, likes a challenge sort of lower league fullback that you might expect. So, yeah, he seems a great addition and already getting the goal contributions from left back. Yeah.
And similar, we had one last night who made his first league start, I think, for anyone. A lad called Lenny Sereno, who Gareth knows from Blackburn, obviously, if they're both from the same area. And we had him in on trial in the summer. Max Clark got sent off for trying to take a throw in, I think it was on Saturday, got a second yellow. So we had to start him. Scored a really, really good third goal. I ended up in the centre circle. I mean, I can't remember the last goalkeeper to get an assist in League Two. So Glenn Morris just adding more accolades to an ever-growing CV, despite being 41 years of age, is incredible. But yeah, Sereno, first touch, heads it over the defender, runs round him, then holds off two big centre halves. I think it's either McFadden or Dunkley. And bearing in mind, Sereno's probably about 5'10", and they're
Yeah.
absolutely huge. Yeah, out muscles them and then just smashes it into the roof of the net from about 12 yards. So that was phenomenal. So it's great to see these younger players getting a chance. And that brings me nicely on to my next subject about younger players, because it is a very young squad. I've not had a chance to look at your starting 11 from last night, but based on that starting 11 from the weekend, how important are the likes of Mickey Demetriou, Connor Thomas, Max Sanders, Josh March? Because they're the only four in that starting 11 at the weekend, when you beat Crawley 1-0, who are over the age of 25. And you've got, I think, two or three in your back four that are 23 and under. You've got teenagers been starting games. Just how crucial is the experience and the leadership of that quartet?
Yeah, it's key. And Connor Thomas may be injured. I'm not 100% sure. He was dropped for Jack Powell. So similar like for like
Okay.
experienced midfielder. You could possibly expect him to start on Saturday as well, depending on the injury extent for
Hmm.
Thomas. But yeah, they're just a group of absolute leaders. I think Jack Powell, Mickey Demetriou, and Connor Thomas, I could see them being a future coaching
Hmm.
unit at the club. It's what we do, though. A Crewe side's going to have young players in it because the academy model's always going to have two or three, possibly more, that are starting week in, week out. That'll be annoyingly now younger than me, which is a bit of a frightening thing. My football career will not be happening, unfortunately.
You think how I feel?
But but yeah, no, yeah, Mickey is the one though. I still maintain over the last 2.5 seasons now, I think he's been the best centre back in the league. I think he is just such a Rolls Royce at this level, and I'm aware this might now jinx him, and he'll make an absolute clanger for you to make it 3-0 on Saturday or something like that. But he's just an absolute diamond. He is someone that is a role model at the club, in the community, sticks around almost every home game for about 15, 20 minutes to take photos with every single kid that wants one, has a word with pretty much every parent of the kids as well. And he's just sort of, if that's what he's like off the pitch, you can only imagine what he's like behind the scenes in training and to elevate these sort of younger lads because it's what we're going to have to do. We need to almost get them playing to a more experienced level than they're actually at in their stages of their career. So, yeah, that sort of quartet that you mentioned are a key sort of unit for us in terms of playing the level, doing the nitty gritty quite well.
Yeah, and I think obviously based on past experiences, the playoffs from the season before last and how the form dropped off the edge of a cliff, I think they'll be crucial moving forward, won't they? We've sort of touched on league predictions pre-game one. You said you predicted 10th, but internally you thought the top seven was easily achievable. I was one of them that put you lower, and I'll happily
Yeah.
eat humble pie if it doesn't prove to be the case. And at the moment, I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, they're going to be a problem for me. They're going to make me look stupid come game 46. I had you 17th, um, but I like to think that the reasons I gave were reasonable. Like there was obviously question marks over Lee Bell, how the form fell off last season, and we have to remember that he's only had two full seasons. This is only his start of a third full season as a number one. So he's still relatively inexperienced. Like when you look at other managers in this division, like our manager Gareth Ainsworth, Paul Cook, who we come up against, Dave Artell, there's Simon Weaver, there's plenty that have got, huge amounts of games under their belt. Obviously, then I questioned the recruitment externally, but I don't know how good it is from an internal point of view. So you've helped me out with that. Um, just has your aspiration changed now after the first four games? Because you've said top 10, top seven, and I know it's literally 10% of the season, but you must be massively encouraged by what you've seen based on the sides that you've played as well. So does it now say more confident top seven, maybe top three?
I was asking how much an open top bus costs after Tuesday, put it
That
that
was you. I
way.
knew there was a Crewe fan. I couldn't remember who it was.
But yeah, no, I'm not going to get ahead of myself. I've seen good teams
Not getting ahead of
start a
himself,
season
but
really well and
he's
then maybe
paid the
fade off.
deposit on the bus already.
Yeah, not non-refundable deposit, but no, I'm not getting too ahead of myself. Yeah, it's one of them. I did have a good feeling going into this season, similar to what I had going into 23-24 when we obviously did reach Wembley. And again, I think if we don't get key injuries that year, we go up automatically. I
Hmm.
think it would have happened. It just sort of, that running was so tedious with sort of, I think at one stage it was 13 into 15 first teamers were injured or unavailable all at once. And it's sort of so ridiculous. Similar last season, I remember we played you and we got a 0-0 point on the road. And again, 15 first teamers are out and we had to recall a 16, 17-year-old lad from a loan just to fill out the bench. So if we can get lucky with injuries, which is the case for any team in League Two
Of
as well,
course.
and if the intensity of the way we're playing doesn't catch up to us, because I think, yes, it's enjoyable now. Will we be able to run like we have been doing in the first four at game week 36? No, no, we won't. And so it's about managing minutes. It's about, like you say, those key individuals, those more experienced lads stepping up. And yeah, I mean, my aspirations this season have been the playoffs or at least a top half finish. And I think it's something we will achieve. I don't want to go out saying that and then us end up not winning the next five after this. But yeah, I'm pretty confident, and the first four games have raised my expectations, certainly not lowered them. So yeah, playoffs may be looking higher, but we'll wait and see another 10, 15 games before I make that a more concrete sort of statement.
You can all bookmark it, people. You can all
Yeah.
bookmark it. We've all been there. We've all been stitched up by social media. Last couple of bits then, Tom, 'cause I know you've got to go out tonight. Since 2015-16, so that's the last decade, there's been 12 games between the two sides. It's 6 wins for the Gills, 3 for Crewe and 3 draws. Gills have scored 13 and the Alex have scored 9. So it's fairly even that way. We've got slight edge. But at Priestfield in that period, it's been slim pickings for you guys. I don't think we've scored in our last 4 games against you, but at the Priestfield, 6 games played, we've won 4. You've not won a game. There's been 2 draws. We've only conceded twice, and we've scored 10 in that period. I know a lot of managers come out and go, "There's no such thing as a bogey side, and it doesn't matter. It's there to be broken and history and all like that." But is that record at the Priestfield slightly concerning going into Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of them. It's a trek for Crewe fans as well. So I don't know whether us not bringing good numbers may affect the way we play. I think you sort of get a lot of the younger lads who make a bit of noise don't tend to go to games like this. I mean, I'm not classing myself as one of those lads, but I'm not going on Saturday. And I know quite a lot of people who have either done the ground before or
Hmm.
money wise are picking other games over this one. So it's one of them where it's hard to take a good back into us unless it's a game that means a lot.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's a ground that I just always associate as having a bore draw at your ground. That's my view of it. Both times I've been, it has been a very dull watch, and it's been, I think, 0-0 both times, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it
Um,
might have been the last two visits. Yeah.
yeah. So it's one of them where it is a bit of a bogey ground, yeah. And like you say, those records are there to be broken, but they do exist, and managers might try and sort of play it down. Possibly it doesn't affect new lads who've never played against Gillingham before as well, for instance. But it's certainly a place a lot of our fans sort of have bad memories at, to be honest with you. A Nick Powell worldie aside many moons ago, I can't remember a good memory at Gillingham away. So
I remember
yeah,
Omar
tough
Beckles
ground.
giving us two about 4 years ago. It might have been the COVID season we was all watching on the
Yeah,
telly. I remember he just set
yeah,
up two of our
it would have
goals in
been.
a 4-1 win. Yeah, that was quite nice of him. Now he's, super solid in League One. So it's funny how it works, isn't it?
Crazy how it turns around, isn't it? But yeah, it'll be a tough place to go. And I think under Ainsworth, you'll be a tough side to beat. I don't think you've lost under Ainsworth. I think I'm right in saying that. So
I don't want.
yeah,
I'm not
it
going to
should
say
be
how
a
many
great
it is
game.
unbeaten because I don't want to. I think we're 16 unbeaten in the league, which is
Wow. I mean,
four
yeah,
this
that
season,
record
and
speaks for itself.
I think
So
it's
it'll be a
13
tough
under
one.
Ainsworth. Yeah. So based on all that, before I let you go and we blow full time on this episode, Tom, score prediction.
I'm going to go incredibly boring again. So let's have a 0-0. I feel like the sort of hype around the goals in the midweek, the way we've been so intense, the way you expected an Ainsworth side to work hard, get balls into the channel, and sort of attack a game of football in a way that doesn't necessarily use possession, but certainly gets you up the field and certainly gets you scoring goals, getting in behind. Let's say 0-0 though.
I've done mine based on the goal fest in the week, so I'm probably a bit delirious. But I've said 2-1 to the Gills.
Nice,
That's a
nice.
lot based on the fact that obviously the record at Priestfield is very
Yeah,
strong. So I've either completely jinxed it and we get turned over, or we suddenly become this wonderful to not wonderful to watch, but this wonderfully free scoring football outfit, which would be a
yeah.
pleasant surprise after so long of averaging less than a goal a game. Right, Tom, first of all, thank you, mate. Real pleasure. Really enjoyed that. Loads of good stuff. So Gills fans and Crewe fans, like I always say, if you're still watching at this point, thank you very much. Please consider hitting that like button. Let's go for 75 likes on this preview show. And if you're there, why not press subscribe? Be really great. We do a League Two show on a Monday evening now, live on YouTube. So there's plenty of League Two stuff to get involved with, and not just the Gills content. And that'd be really great to see you on a Monday evening. Obviously, we'll be in the ground at the Priestfield on Saturday with Ava and Boz and everybody else for another match day live. But until then, enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy them 4-1 wins, and most importantly, up the Gills.